IAQ Building Committee meeting for December 6, 2024. I do not have a recording secretary this morning, so I will be double duty here. All right, we can stand for the pledge. Allegiance to the flag, excuse me, of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. All right. Thank you for the flag, Mark. All right. Approval of minutes. Just double check what we got. Rodney, did you get a chance to look at the 11:1 or 11:22 minutes?
Yeah, I did. I'll make the motion to approve minutes of meeting for November 1st, 2024, as written.
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. I will also make a motion to accept the minutes of meeting for November 22nd, 2024, as written.
I'll second. Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'm going to be calling the HR department to try to get somebody to take minutes from us. Sheila's had to bow out, so bear with me so long.
I thought we said something. You're gonna call HR.
Yeah, I was purposely, I was gonna let the pause go longer, Mark. Okay, project updates. Who's up? Tim, Mark, either of you guys want to weigh in?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can go. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'll jump in.
Sure. Basically across all three schools right now, we're still working through, we have fabrication that's still in process for ductwork, for interior ductwork. We're working on hangers pretty much across all three schools for all the components of the HVAC system. So that's, ductwork, condensate piping, VRF system. We're starting to install VRF cassettes in all three schools, into the classroom ceilings. So we're moving along. No issues with our schedule, and so far we're in a good place.
I was in Osborne earlier in the week. There's a lot of wires in that ceiling. Do you guys expect any? I know I believe it's up to the building inspector's discretion of what they require or expect from a wire management perspective. Do you guys? Has there been any conversations on that? Do we expect any?
Yeah, when we demoed, so when we were demoing ceilings, we'd meet with them every morning afterwards just to review the conditions. And what they did show us they wanted to be removed, we started to take out already. We'll do another pass as we're getting ready to button everything up. But there is a lot of wiring, but a lot of it is in use, so it stays where it is. And we don't have to really touch anything unless it's dead and you can see it's no longer being used. They like to take it out of the ceiling. Sure. But other than that, we've been addressing that as we go. So it's been pretty clean though. Osborne's been pretty good though overall, to be honest, above the ceiling.
Okay. So we don't expect any 11th hour bumps or requests to tighten that all up. I mean, it wasn't bundled. Not a lot of bundles, a lot of just loose.
Yeah, no, we're not. They're not asking us to do bundle things up and reroute things. If we don't have to touch it, they're okay with it staying in place. They've just been more fixed on anything that's old and has to come out or has been a cut and abandoned but left above the ceiling. Conduits and wires and all that stuff. So that was more of what they've been looking for. The messy IT wires that are up there from how many years of people pulling wires here and there, they're not concerned with that, to be honest.
And just to add a little bit to this, in the GMP, we ran into this in previous schools, and we have in the past used zip ties to kind of do the best you can, bundling or kind of so wires are not draping. That's okay to do that. We can get authorization from this body here to utilize some of those funds because it's hard to see when the ceilings are closed, Jeff. So we can send the crew to kind of tidy up a little bit with zip ties. So at least, but custodians or maintenance folks go above the ceiling. The wires are not draped on the ceiling. So I'm assuming that's what you're saying.
Yeah, my concern was just that all of a sudden someone was going to pop up right before we put the ceilings in and make a request, and it was going to put us unexpected delay or cost on the project. I also wanted to make sure it wasn't.
No, that's a great point to bring up.
The drop ceiling guys, because they have to move if they have to start moving
you bring
wires
a great
aside.
point. So Tim, let's touch base you and I after, and we could send Ferguson Electric or just to kind of tidy up on zip ties. Also, you want to touch a little bit about the UI, the process, Tim?
Yes. So UI, we're working along with them as far as getting the transformers ready for the schools that we can get them ready for. So right now North Stratfield has been on our radar first, and that's really due to the fact that we have the most work installed at this point. So what we're doing is right now we're gearing up for the week before Christmas or the week of Christmas to do a transformer install at North Stratfield. So that'll include getting the new transformer set on the pad that's out there at the moment, getting all the primary wires pulled and connected as well as the secondaries, and switching that school over from the existing transformer to the new transformer, which will then allow us to continue safely to build out the new electrical room at North Stratfield, which currently houses the existing transformer. So we're not allowed in there. It's a locked door with UI padlock. So that is all. We just had a meeting on site last week with UI. Today's Friday. This week, Tuesday, I met them out there to kind of go back through all this. So we're marching towards the 21st right now, a Saturday, to do this work. So that's big. That's really great.
Yeah, there's a brief shutdown.
Mark.
There's a brief shutdown that we are working with, and Sal has been integral to these meetings, a part of these meetings, to make sure that restart, because it is winter, obviously. So we've been coordinating and communicating those aspects, and we continue to do so. I don't know if you want to expand on that.
We're Tim. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sal. You could go. You go ahead, Sal.
No, I was just saying, Tim and I we're having many discussions about length of the actual shutdown, what equipment needs to be spun down for its safety, like the servers and things like that, security system, cameras, stoves, refrigerators, all those things that need a little TLC. We'll have to have the food services make sure they take all their perishable foods to another location prior to the vacation. They usually leave minimal over vacations, but we don't want to lose anything. So there's other refrigerators and freezers within the district that can take that stuff. So we're going over all those ticky-tacky kind of things that could easily get lost in the sauce as you're doing a big event like this.
Perfect. Okay. There's no power failover at North Stratfield?
I'm sorry, you said power failover?
There's no power failover? There's no generator or?
No, there's not a generator. It's the exception that we have generators at various buildings, and usually they're special purpose generators, as fire pump. Typically, or like Fairfield Ludlow High School is an emergency shelter. It has a generator, can't take the 300,000 square foot plus building, but it can take the cafeteria and the gym and the showers and all those things. Power failover, some UPSs for critical items in the IT structure, but no, not a big failover. So we have to be careful with that.
Okay.
And as far as the principals, everybody is still in communication, no issues there or concerns. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim. Correct on the NPS, Fairfield Public School.
Sorry, repeat
No, I
that,
said
Amar?
the principals are all set. Every no issues. We've been
Oh,
communicating.
yes. Yes. No, principals have been good. You know, we've addressed little things here and there that come up, and I think everyone still has, you know, a very good mindset on what we're doing with the project.
Yep.
Okay. And Sal, any updates on Riverfield? We added it to the agenda, but I don't know.
Yeah, and then you can take it off. I mean, it's like a one and done. I didn't mean to. I was thinking about that. That discussion, I think, happened before you came on the committee at all. The work was complete when we filed for the grant, and I was just telling you I did the final part of saying, "Pay me." So that's with the state, and the only interesting thing is we'll see how fast they pay these HVAC grants,
Right.
because it's a brand new thing. I don't know how long they take to process them or what have you.
Okay.
So
yeah. So my intention is to remove it from the agenda, though, because there's no reason to ask you every week for nothing, and you're going to tell me no update,
No.
no update, no update. So yeah. So when they do pay, you'll let us know. Okay.
Yeah, if we're still in existence, yes, it could take that long.
I do have a couple updates just going on the I believe there's a bulletin out there for North Stratfield. There's a couple new duct conflicts with existing utilities in the ceiling, that kind of along the same lines of the discussion before. So we're working through that, coordinating that, and getting the existing utilities out of the way of the ductwork, because the curves and all that are ordered. So it's easier to do the utilities than it is to move ductwork. There is another bulletin out there for ACT ceilings, changing the ceiling tiles to humid guard versus what was originally specified. Gilbane is working on pricing for that. And we have a meeting scheduled, if not this week, upcoming week, the week after, with to talk about the August summer of 25, wrapping up with Van Zelm, the commission agent, and their tester and balancer, and Gilbane and the schools, just to make sure everybody has the time they need for the start of school next year. And if there's
Mark,
no
just
other,
say that last point again. I'm sorry. Just all right.
we have a meeting. I believe it's this week.
To talk about August for preparation for the September start of school.
Correct. Basically, the summer schedule. So, I mean, we did a good job this past summer coordinating everything. It's just we got to start the preparations for next summer.
Okay.
Making sure we add another element here with the commission agent and the tester and balancer that we didn't have last summer.
And Sal, would you know if there was any conflicting projects or anything like we've seen with Parks and Recs in the past, anything scheduled for this coming summer that may impact production of proceeding with the project? Do we have any way of knowing that? Okay, they're not, I don't know, polishing the gym floors at the same time we were hoping to put drop ceilings in or something. I don't know.
No. We would go over that. I mean, that's months in the future. What you the exact
well, I was looking at that one's a
the exact one that you just brought up. That would be keyed into the whole schedule. We do do a special buff and shine on those gymnasium floors, and we can move which one they do to match up with the construction schedule, but we're flexible. So the Parks and Rec thing, that was just I think that was a miscommunication, because they said they wanted to go and do some small plantings, and then all of a sudden, they're calling up right when Tim has a big hole in the ground. And then they showed up with plans for a stone wall. It was like, well, that's not what you told us. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's.
I just wasn't. I mean, I know that sometimes the different agencies don't all right. There's not an appreciation or an awareness of the other projects. That's
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts in every department. So,
Yep. Okay.
we bump, but we typically work pretty well together.
All right. And Mark, circling back to your first comment, the ductwork requiring wire modifications. That's a warning call out, and there's an ATP coming.
That's just
summary?
yes, that's something down the line that we'll be seeing, and it might be picked up in the allowance. That work.
Okay. And the ceiling tile change, the new standard, the pricing is being put together by Bill Gilbane, and that would be for the and various spread of that. So that is for the phase 2
Correct.
work.
For the second part of phase 1, yes.
We have to come up with better naming. We have too many subphases.
Phase 1, part 2.
We can hide behind our obscurity of name. Okay. Any other phase 1 updates? So hearing none. Rodney, any questions on your side?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Update. Okay. Phase 2, Tomlinson. I did not get a chance to call the Board of Selectmen. I still need to do that unless anybody knows for sure if they made a vote to transfer Tomlinson to this board.
Well, Jeff,
I will say this, that
the building committee charge includes Tomlinson. So, it's already there. There's no transferring. This is the committee for the Tomlinson AC project, and it has been funded. It will be good for you to touch base with the first selectman's office and just say, I'm good to go. I believe you are. I think that's.
You believe that's in the original charge, Sal?
No, it was in the revised charge, and if you hang on a second, I think
I'm
because
looking for
that
it
came
now.
up when they were doing the funding. Did they have to add it to the charge? And I dug into it, and we essentially the building committee charge now includes phases 1 through 5 and that one for Riverfield. So the only other, I think it actually even includes Jennings and Dwight, which were left off the phases because there's a separate discussion about them.
It does not.
But if it became a AC project like this, just a mechanical ventilation project, I think it would be in your purview. But let me see if I can find that document. I'll shoot it over.
No, it's there. It's Tomlinson Middle School is there.
It is in the charge.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But Dwight and the other one are not.
Okay.
Rennie, you're looking at it right now. So does it also include the other phases for HVAC work? So the high schools and whatnot?
I do not see that.
It doesn't include Fitzgerald or.
It includes Fitzgerald. Let me just make sure. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm going to send that to you
Yes, it does.
right
Yes,
now.
it does.
Thank you.
That's right. Yeah, it includes the other 2 high schools. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. It does include Ward. Yes. Sorry.
Yep.
All right. So all of the
Right above
HVAC projects are within scope. It's just the reconstruction of Dwight, if that were to proceed, is not formally in there.
No. Okay. I think there was discussion. It was a while ago that we
expanded that.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if it has a date on it. Let me see.
Come on, job security for me. Damn.
Yeah,
Actually, if Jeff, if you guys
Well,
want to
with
talk,
each phase, they double your salary.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
would
my
say I'm gonna have to ask
understanding
for amped up some.
January
Yes, I-
30, January 31, 2024 was approved by the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, thank you.
and Jeff, if it's okay, if I could jump in, it's important that if we need to look at the schedule for Townsend. It's a little tricky because it's all equipment replacement and involved. So there's obviously construction documents phase to it. So we should really have a team meeting to discuss schedule with the design team and deliverables, bid timeline, all that we need to start detail. And obviously there's proposals also that have to be put together for the CD phase. So I know Jesse is on the call, so I don't know if that's something you want us to start looking into, because the path on it was always do some work summer 25 and then finalize it in summer 26. That was the schedule that was developed for it. Because units, obviously you have to order the units. You're not gonna get them for 25. So the goal was to install the units in 2026, summer 2026. So it's a little bit critical from a scheduling standpoint, this one.
Amar, when you talk about getting together on that, would be a January activity, or do you see that even starting before the end of the year?
I think we should start, my opinion, we should start it right away, to be honest with you. I know Jesse's on the call, Sal, Jesse, ourselves, Mark, Weitzer. We should have added to our OAC meetings and the development of those, and talk
Sure.
about timeline, deliverables, bid timeline, all those parts and pieces, because again, we need to talk about how much time Jesse needs to develop CDs. There's obviously a proposal that needs to be presented to you folks for the balance of the design, the pre-con services, the CD estimate, the bid phase. There's a lot of pieces that we need to put together in order to hit the ground running on this one. So if you want us for the next meeting, we can start working on our proposals for the CD phase, the bid timeline, and put that together, because that's an important piece. And so you can authorize the CD design, the construction documents design, or the bid documents design. We need that with this body.
Do we have design costing for these phases?
Mark, do you have the CD phase from Jesse?
Yes, we do have ad services for the CD phase, I believe. They were provided at the same time as we went the DD phase. So let me. Yeah. I believe there's another one. This was ASA 16, I believe, that took us through DD, and I believe there's another one. I believe I have another ASA that is through DDs. So let me find that, and then I can distribute that.
Yeah, so I don't know if we have a meeting next week, Jeff, but we're gonna start. I'm not trying to be alarmed or anything like that. We don't want to lose time because there's a lot of parts and pieces to this to get it to the bid documents and going out to bid and all those aspects of it. So we need to move on this one a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough. We're meeting the 20th of March, the next meeting. 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking how realistic it is that people are going to get to this prior to the holiday week.
Yeah, I mean, does this, and I'm just for my own education, this body is the body that authorizes the CD phase of the design phase, the fees, correct? So if we can meet, and I have a special meeting on the 13th, can we meet next Friday to kind of look at that particular item itself and just kind of talk through it and what we need to do in order to to stay on it instead of waiting 2 weeks? If we have,
I cannot meet next week.
You can't. Okay. All right, then the 20th.
Well, you're asking for authorization to start work on the CD phase.
Correct.
Tomlinson.
Correct. Basically, authorizing BL, we need to sit down with BL and understand their timeline for delivering the construction documents or the bid documents, because we're going to need to do an estimate for the CD phase as well, the construction documents. So I have to give you our proposal for that because, again, we were procured through DDs only. So now I have to prepare that, and I can have that probably ready before the 20th, our part of it. But it's the designers is important that they go first because they need time to develop the design. We can catch up with them fairly quickly.
Correct.
They are a critical path, basically.
Okay. I think what I'd like to say on that though is that there's a review of the costing that needs to happen first, just to to get everybody comfortable and on the same page.
Yep.
So why don't we trying to think of the best way to handle this from a public. I got to get out of my corporate mindset of just sending you guys an email.
Well, I think we need to provide you the information from the three entities to not only on the costing but on the schedule of it. That way, the building committee can make a decision on that.
Yeah.
To be honest, at this point in time, I'm more interested in the costing than the schedule.
Great.
So I'm sensitive to the schedule, but the costing is important.
Absolutely.
All right. So we'll table the authorization until costing supplied. I guess, Jesse, if you get to a point where you're overly stressed about the timeline, then reach out to me. We can figure out how to proceed if we can't wait till the 20th.
No, I don't think Tomlinson, the scope is pretty small. I don't think there's any issue with the schedule of getting everything done by the summer of 2026, no matter when we do this. But the big open item is we had talked about possibly a little partial roof replacement in the area where these new rooftop units are going.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, I can speak to that, Jeff. So there was the roof. There's more than when we were initially talking about it, because we didn't know the scheduling of the roofs, because we preempted our normal roof replacement schedule because of the North Stratfield project. It was actually in our long-term plan to be 2025, which would have been counterproductive. Instead, we needed to start at that roof in 2024. So we pushed it through for design, and we messed up our sequence for following roofs. So this summer, because there was no chance that Gilbane is getting equipment, it just wouldn't work out. We are doing the roof, separate project. We're doing the roof that we need to do mechanical work on, plus like 7 other roof sections on Tomlinson, and I'm doing that with the standing special projects building committee. and Silver Petrocelli is already designing that, and we're heading up. So this summer there'll be a roof project, and I'll coordinate with Jesse's and whatever the design is for this. There might be an opportunity to, if we know that there's a certain equipment frame or something that we have to coordinate in, we'll take care of that this summer. I think we can do that between the two projects, but the pressure to take care of the roof and or just segregating one roof from the multiple roofs that we had to do, we went in, we got the funding for the roofs. We'll do it as a standalone project this year. It'll be wrapped up, I should say, it'll be wrapped up summer 2025, this coming year. And then the following year, Amar and Tim and their crew can do what they need to do mechanically. And if there's a cut through or something like that, they'll have to hire a roofer to take care of that particular smaller item.
Right.
And just to answer Amar's questions about the scheduling of the design, right now we could probably finish bid documents sometime in February would be best estimate right now, just because of the holidays. Normally it'd be quicker than that, but we're gonna lose a couple of weeks with just at this point this year.
Yep, that's perfect. Actually, if you can do February, then that would give us. We need about 6 weeks or so to bid, gather all the bids, submit a GMP, and all that, and be able to release equipment. And we'll do some work this coming summer. Because I don't know if we can slam it all in one summer. We need to do some enabling work this summer, in some areas, and then finish. We got to go very similar to it's much smaller scale than phase one.
Yeah, of course.
We have to kind of again take the fall. We'll have not much to do. Spring we might be able to do some things. It all depends on what your final design is going to look like.
Yeah, and essentially it's 3 rooftop units, so it's much smaller project than the phase 1 schools.
Yeah, it's like 4.5, 5 million, I think it was, somewhere along that. Okay, but
yeah, it was under 5, but it's similar to Fifth House. I know the Dale and the building committee, it's more of a rooftop swap than it is what we did in phase 1. So look, yeah, we'll get together.
Yeah, it's for some, it's for some bigger areas. So it's some rooftop DX units as opposed to doing a VRF system or what have you. Yeah, but should let Jesse say that. He's the designer.
No, that's essentially right. There are 3 gymnasiums at Tomlinson, and the scope is for new rooftop units, 1 for each of those three gyms. The remaining portions of the building are currently air conditioned, so are out of our scope. Currently air conditioned and ventilated. So
is there so would there be design inputs then based if you were finishing your construction design in February before the roof was done in the summer? Is there conduit or whatnot that would be, I don't know the right phrasing would be, dry run in, put in place as a placeholder or while the roof is open? That makes sense to stub out prior to the.
Sure. I mean, yes, we can.
Yeah, we can look at that. Once Jesse's done with his design,
right.
my schedule. I'm literally doing the state application right now for the roof project because I have a deadline of Tuesday to get that in. That means we're reviewing it sometime in January, and we're hopefully by the end of February bidding the roof. By that time, Jesse will be finishing up his design, can work with Gil Bain and their team to see if there's anything that we'll want to put an addenda out for, I don't know, a raceway, maybe just putting posts in for a frame to be added in later. Yeah, we'll go over those kind of things. It's a couple of 3 units, not a big deal. If it's if we need a curb, an actual curb and a cut, you know, we can accommodate that. Usually you can get the curbs pretty damn quick, and just coordinate that as a supplemental instruction to whoever wins the project.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like to avoid a $50,000 ATP that you're doing, you know, you're gonna
No, we agree. Yeah.
dig a big hole in the,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
roof and do flashing and all of this stuff, and everybody's telling me how hard it's gonna be because the roof was already replaced and on.
Yeah.
PVC is easy to attach to, right, if it's run through, so the conduit's not hard, if that's the work. Okay.
And Mark, earlier we were talking about fees for CD. And yes, you have our fees for CD, but
Yep.
I realized that we did not send you updated fees for everything past CDs. So like bidding and CA and that piece of it. So let me send you a revised proposal. I'll have the same number for CDs as the ASA 16 that you had up before. It was just on the
Yep.
next page. You didn't get to it yet. The CD was like 25,000 for Tomlinson, but we need to add in back the rest of the phases for the entire project from here to CA. So I'll send you one just for Tomlinson from this point forward for the phase, all the phases.
Mark, do you need our proposal to take us through the CD estimate and the bidding at GMP also? I'm assuming you're gonna need that from us, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'll make sure that gets to you definitely well in advance of the 20th. Like I said, Jesse is obviously, he's the lead, the critical path schedule wise. We can catch up to him very quickly.
Okay. Anything else in Tomlinson?
No, thank you.
Okay. Mark, do you have moving on to approvals, do you have the schedule in a displayable format? Thank you. So moving on to approvals, I'm going to make a motion to approve the 2025 meeting schedule and new starting time as presented.
I'll second, though I don't see a starting time. Never
Fair
mind.
enough.
I'm seeing it slowly come up.
Yes, I'm sorry. So modification to the proposal, the motion is to start time be moved to 9 o'clock instead of 9:15.
I'll second.
If there's any discussion, is anybody, did I miss anything in this schedule that somebody's aware of? I don't know. I tried to look at schools, holidays. We're squeezing 3 into June to pull the July 4th holiday in a little bit. So we'll have a little bit of a run in July where we won't have, we'll only have the one meeting.
Other than the meetings are on Friday, I have no comment.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
No, it works for me.
Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I'm going to table the election of officers, unfortunately, until I haven't had a chance to talk to Joe. So I won't repeat the David Becker method of dropping it in someone's lap unexpectedly or unknowingly. So
Well,
I'm going to call it out as the victim of it a couple times. I'm going to call it out. So I will look to table that to the 20th. So moving on to ATPs.
All right. We only have 6 of them, 5 of them, if I could count. 2 of them are, well, we have 3 for Fairfield Woods, ATP 14, which is the RFI 41 conduit and concrete encasement of the conduits. And that kind of goes hand in hand with ATP 32 for the UI site requirements. The concrete encasement is coming out of contingency, and the UI site requirements are coming out of the CM contingency. The RFI 41 was sent after the last meeting for review. And I guess if there's any questions with that,
Yeah, I have some questions. RFI 41 was submitted on July 2nd. Then I have emails from a Henry Rome from February 9th stating that the conduits, if PVC, should be encased in concrete. Question, when was the GMP finalized? And why wasn't this included in the GMP? Was there another RFI submitted on this particular project or particular item?
I mean, obviously, I think the GMP was submitted. I want to say it was approved in April, I'm guessing, but let me verify that.
Okay. So question, why wasn't this included in the GMP?
So it was my understanding.
And then why am I getting an RFI in July?
July of 20.
Sorry, I was muted. So there was an RFI very early on in the bidding process, Rodney, back in February of this year, and the RFI was just requesting where would concrete need to be used, and what criteria is called for concrete. There was a detail that was on the BL drawings, and we had asked the RFI to BL, and I think Jesse has also stated in the past that there was an answer to the RFI, but we believe that the way the RFI was answered, it wasn't 100% clear where we would potentially need to carry money for the concrete. And when we're having a hard bid with multiple site work trades, that can skew the bidding quite largely if people are making assumptions on where they're going to carry tens of whatever cubic yards of concrete. So we elected to take it out of the base scope and bring it in as an allowance and or a change order based on the actual site conditions. Because as you've seen at a couple of these schools, we've had to go down deeper. We've had to go, we had the secondary.
That's fine. But the premise is that this was not included. Any of it was included in the GMP. When I have an email from Henry from the utility on February 9th, clearly stating beneath any drivable surface at the required depth of 36 inches to the top of concrete or conduits does in fact require primary conduits to have 3 inches of concrete encasement above and below conduits.
The email that to Rodney, the RDU, is that part of the RFI or?
I don't think so. That I wasn't even in touch with Ramon at that point on the project.
It's to the design team, but it is part of your RFI 41 backup.
It was included on the RFI 41 that was submitted to the committee.
I mean, that's the only reason I got it.
No, I know. I'm just trying to, I guess, Tim, can you present on the screen this RFI 41 if you don't mind, so we can all look at the same document? So we can shed some clarity about the timeline and the sequence of the issue itself. I mean, ultimately, and I just speak globally, it was a team, and we've discussed this in the past, it was a team discussion, us and the design team, that because this issue was not, as Tim was indicating, was not very clear and quantifiable, it was a collective decision to say, all right, let's table this one, take it. It's not in the GMP effectively. It's going to be dealt with down the road when the issue presents itself. Absolutely, there is multiple pieces of information that could have said, all right, it is quantifiable. We should keep it in the bid and let's not take it out of the bid. The decision was made at the time when the bid RFI was being debated, was at the time that the decision was made to take it out of the documents and deal with it as a change condition. So it's not in the GMP effectively. That is clear. The backup, regardless of the backup, the instructions that we gave to the bidders is do not include it in your bid. I think that's the ultimate direction that was given to the bidders. So hence, it's not included in the GMP and to be dealt with as a change condition. That's based on the information that was there at the time and based on conversations we had with the design team. That was the ultimate decision that was made then.
Well, that was a really poor decision. What happens if I come to your house and I'm doing electrical work and all of a sudden I come to you and say, well, yeah, well, we didn't leave this, we took this out, but we're putting it back in now, and this is what we're charging you.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, Rodney, the situation we're in, but what complicated it even worse is,
And then as a homeowner, why should I pay for it?
and that's why ultimately the change, the ATP as it was presented, and that's why we're utilizing CM contingency to portion of that change to basically deal with the cost. I understand your frustrations with it. I totally get it.
Yeah, and just to clarify though, that Amar, so the solution or the proposal from a spending perspective is that you're transitioning into a bucket that doesn't have the overhead for the ATP, but it's still coming out of the project.
Right. I mean, ultimately, the concrete itself was not in anybody's bid. So even if you go back in time and we had instructed bidders, yeah, give us a concrete encasement 3 feet below grade, 3 inches above the conduit, 3 inches below the conduit, they would have had included the concrete work in their bid. They didn't have that. So regardless, that is not part of their bid. So that is clearly a scope item none of them carried. So had we instructed them back then, they would have carried something for it. That still should be treated, the concrete portion of it should be treated as an out of scope change because none of the bidders had it, the actual concrete work.
But they should have, because it was on the drawings.
I understand that. I totally understand that, but the instructions they were told not to include it. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim. The RFI basically told them not to include.
Yeah, the RFI, we were gonna, I think the issue here is that there was gonna be an allowance held for it, and that allowance wasn't also generated. We said allowance or a change order. I think if there was an allowance right now, we wouldn't be here having this conversation, of course, because it'd be just like any other allowance we have, but that allowance should have been put into this. Because our Yep.
So I'm not sure what the what a path forward is.
Well, I mean, ultimately, the path forward on this is that right, wrong, or indifferent. The bids did not include the concrete encasement. None of the site contractors included any concrete encasement in their bid. The GMP is based on those RFI answers, documents, the amendments. So when a scope is taken out, that was excluded from their bid. So the GMP does not have that. Now, in order to fund a mechanism such as this issue here, we go back to the CM contingency because there is no other bucket of money, if you will, since there was no allowance, since there was no a hold for that particular scope item, the GMP doesn't have it. It's basically every dollar is accounted for. The CM contingency would respond to what we call, and if you read the terms and the conditions of this CM contingency in the contract, it talks about scope gaps. If there is an item shown on the documents that we did not buy from the trades, whether it's a door or a light fixture that the design team showed it on their documents, but we didn't buy it from any sub, the CM contingency as defined in the contract talks about any scope gaps, missed buyouts that we did not catch. And that happens.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but this says it's coming out of the owner's contingency.
Well, because the reason is because the premise and the basis of the GMP itself is based on the documents included within the GMP, meaning all bid RFIs or answers. And there's absolutely clear instructions right there saying that the concrete encasement, even though it's shown on the documents, it will be treated as a change condition or an allowance.
Where does it say that in this RFI 41?
Tim, you have the bid RFI? You're muted, buddy. You're muted.
Sorry, I'm in Procore on the regular RFI. Do you want me to go to the bid RFI log?
Yeah, go to the bid RFI log, I think, to show how the bid documents are assembled.
Let me just grab it.
I think I understand Rodney's, while Tim I think what you're trying to do is that the concrete encasement is shown on the drawings. There's some information within the bid RFI, and I think you're leaning towards the bidders should have the concrete encasement. Is that where your thinking is? Effectively?
Absolutely correct. I mean,
Okay.
you
So
submitted a package, RFI 41, which has an email dated February 9th during the bidding process that definitively says, and under any drivable surface.
Right.
Now, I don't want to beat this thing to death, but I'm getting,
okay.
it's, and in the scope of things, it's not a whole bunch of money, but it just irks me that unilaterally the design team and the construction team said, we'll leave this out and we'll take it as a CO.
Do you want me to share the RFI log or moot point?
Yeah, can you share? No, I understand your frustrations on that aspect of it, and sometimes people make poor decisions, and it happens. And
then again, why should the owner pay for it? Why should the town of Fairfield pay for a mistake?
Well, it's not let's put it this way. There's errors and it's not so much it's a mistake. It's basically at the time the situation presented itself and it was a collective conversation where we had with the design team and how we actually dealt with assigning this particular scope item to the bidders. It's not in the GMP. So it needs to come out either of the owner contingency or the CM contingency, basically. Those are the only funding mechanisms that exist.
Exactly.
Yeah. At the time, yeah.
Can you zoom in a little bit more so people could read it, please? So this particular document, Rodney, is our bid RFI log that you have seen and all the bidders see. And we basically tell them, here's the instructions, here's the answer. And there's a clear instructions. If the bidder would read it, said, okay, so I'm not going to carry anything for it because there'll be an owner allowance carried for this. So I'm not going to include it in my bid. So that clarifies that it's not in anybody's bid, this scope item itself. And I think at the time, based on the information that was presented itself, the collective decision was. So
who wrote the answer?
I think the answer we articulate, well, it's a combination of the two. Sometimes we get answers from the design team, and it's ultimately
yeah. You're right, Amar, but this is Gilbane's answer here.
No, I was just going to get to that.
You were stating it much better. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt.
So we ultimately articulate the answer. We get responses on any issue, any RFI from the design team and or the owner. We look at the answer and we add additional language to it depending on what that issue is to make sure there's complete clarity. Plus, we have to look at the answer in order to assign that scope. The design team does not assign scope to bidders. We assign the scope. So when we
No,
get
I
an answer,
understand that. I understand that. I fully understand that.
okay.
Jesse, did you convey to them that under drivable surfaces, we were to have concrete?
Our engineers are going to tell you yes. Gilbane didn't understand.
Is there any written proof?
Yeah,
Emails or anything?
we have the answer we supplied to this RFI question before Gilbane replaced it with there. And
So,
you know, I'm going to agree that it can be misconstrued because there's two pieces in it that I think, and I'm just guessing here, I'm thinking Gilbane thought the two pieces went together, but they were two separate pieces. But if I don't know if you have that one, Tim, if our response to this RFI.
So again, the problem is we're talking about this now in December, and back last year, before anyone was on the site, anyone was seeing the existing conditions, anyone was laying out the trenching, this was all very unknown. So there's a fact.
How can it be unknown that, I mean, forever concrete is always on PVC, concrete is used under drivable surfaces. And you had the plans, you knew where the drivable surfaces
but
were.
it was also under areas where, you know, you don't get the right depth. If you can't get the right depth, you have to add it in. So it was something that, again, at the time, we were just under the impression that, I don't know if we can quantify this, and we were trying to not have the bids be overinflated to have everyone cover themselves. I think the problem is that there was an allowance held, Rodney. And I think if there was an allowance held, this would have been a problem. And I think the lesson learned is that there needs to be an allowance if we're going to keep it out of the contract. But you know, it wasn't in any negative intention here. It was just that
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying,
I'm extremely frustrated that this is going on, I don't know, months, and we finally got the RFI last on the 22nd. And then the RFI, it clearly, in the backup, it clearly states what we've all been talking about, and now the owner is expected to pay for it. That's my frustration. I understand all the mechanisms and whatnot, and I don't want to belabor the point and keep everybody here longer than necessary.
No, we appreciate, and it's unfortunate. We did not carry the owner allowance, and typically an owner allowance is technically an owner contingency that, regardless, it would have been part of the project. It's just that pot of money to support that scope was not carried. So,
yeah, and from a broader term, broader statement, this is something I've called out before. I want to make sure that we minimize our ATPs for Tomlinson, for example, right? So we need to. I don't know if that requires a lessons learned conversation.
Right.
Review of ATPs, but how do we figure out and tighten this up so going forward we're our budget's tighter.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, look, the job for phases 2 through 5, the estimators are carrying it. We're going to assign the scope. Now the design team also aware of this issue, so to make sure those dimensions and details are accurate, because we did have, as you're all aware, there's a detail of it on the electrical drawings and there's a detail of it on the civil drawings, and those two are not fully coordinated. We need to have one detail to make sure it's fully clear so the bidders know exactly what to carry. And if we run into unforeseen conditions, we'll deal with it then. But so the entire team is aware of this issue. And other issues too. This is not the only thing. We want to make sure that we buy a complete project, and I think everybody did the best they could. And I think we have a very good tight documents, to be frank with you. This piece, we were aware of it. Had it been dealt a little differently? Yes.
All right. Rodney, you comfortable? You've said yeah. All right. Well, I'll to keep the bitterness out of your throat, Rodney. I'll make a motion to approve ATP 014 RFI 041 concrete encasement of conduits in the amount of $26,913.
Fairfield stop sharing.
With apprehension, I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
You need to bring the agenda back up. Sorry, I stopped my screen.
Yeah, I'm kind of locked right now.
so I'll make a motion to approve ATP 022 for Fairfield Woods, RFI 018, second floor corridor 231 design modifications coming out of contingency in the amount of $10,630.
Second.
Any discussion?
What design modifications?
Pulling it up right now. This had to do with the electrical panels and finding a
Is that the door?
new location for it. So they put it at the end of a corridor and built a room around it. Jesse, do you want to take it from there?
Yeah, the original location proposed for these electrical panels ended up not working due to unforeseen conditions above the ceiling that were not visible before during the design. So we ended up having to move them out of that room and put them over there where it's shown on this drawing, in that little closet, in a new little closet.
Has this been seconded?
It has.
It has. Okay. I'm good.
All right, hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I'll make a motion to approve ATP 032 for Fairfield Woods, UI site requirements coming from CM contingency in the amount of $17,602.
Do we have to, I'll second it. Question is, do we have to approve this since it's coming out of CM contingency?
Yes, sir, you do. Anything over 5,000, you have to approve.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Okay, the next one is 003 for North Stratfield. This is a credit to the allowance, unused allowance of $12,500. There's still a balance remaining on the allowance of $35,504.
I'll make a motion to accept ATP 003 for North Stratfield, modify existing sprinkler heads and to upright heads in the amount of minus $12,500.
I'll second the motion. Sure, you get the credit one, Rodney. All right.
Yeah, I took that one. Makes me feel better.
No debates. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then the last one is ATP 14 for Osborne, and that's not it. It is for test pits over by the APR in the kitchen bump out for the secondary electrical. The secondaries to run the electrical into the boiler room and the fire pump room. There's a lot of existing utilities over in that corner, and we needed to do some test pits to figure out where those utilities were. So
I'll make a
this is
motion
the
to accept. Go ahead, sorry.
No, this is the cost for a day for underground surveying and then the site contractor to dig test pits.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept ATP 014 for Osborne School, electrical secondary test pits in the amount of $44,548.
Second the motion. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. All right. On to invoices.
We have 5 of them. 4 of them are Gilbane's for the 3 HVAC projects for the work in November. And then their final pre-con for phase 2 through 5 of $37,256.40. And then Tri-State Materials for, this is woods in the amount for cold form metal framing inspection of $560.
All right, I'll make the motion to accept Gilbane's invoices 008 dated 11/30/2024 in the amount of $1,108,331.85.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Thank you, Rodney.
I'll make a motion to accept Gilbane's pre-con phase 2 through 5. I'm not going to read the invoice number. for 12/6/2024 in the amount of $37,256.40.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
I'll make a motion to accept and approve Tri-State Materials testing. I guess I'll read this one. TMST, I guess it's 14430 dated 9/28/2024 in the amount of $560.00.
Second the motion. Any discussion?
Nope.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. I have a 10:30 meeting, guys, so I'm going to be moving right along here.
Yep.
Old business. I don't know what we have. I don't have any old business.
Yeah, I don't think we had any.
No, all right. So moving on, new business. Rodney, any new business on your side?
No, sir.
All right. Very good. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second.
Thanks,
All in
everybody.
favor?
Thanks. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thanks.
Our next meeting is December 20th. Have a great
Yep.
week, everyone.
Same to
Sorry
you.
for the
Thank you.
abruptness.
Take care.